Problem of human wildlife conflict is such a huge thing, and we do not have a proper solution to it. So we can only have permutation and combination to address these problems, and these are only for time being. Only way which we can sustain is that if we create boundaries which are not physical, but it's like emotional boundaries with where we can think of coexistence. Until and unless we do not have that thing which we call coexistence, we will have a human wildlife conflict every day and everywhere. Impact of human wildlife conflict is economical loss. Economical loss in terms of agriculture produces and homes are destroyed by the animals. And most of the time, when I said that leopards or tiger live there, so that is the economical loss to human being. Pressure on the government and its policies. Yes, there is always a pressure on the government and its policies. For since I'm working very close to the government as well as the villages there in the area of India, so द मेन थिंग विच आई encountered इज दैट कि सर ये आपका जानवर है, आप इसको जंगल में रखो, हम जंगल नहीं जाएंगे, आपके जानवर जंगल से बाहर नहीं आने चाहिए. मीन्स कि सर दीज आर योर एनिमल्स, कीप इट इन टू forest by making fringe or making a boundary there so that their animals should not trespass to our area and we are also not going into the forest. So there is always a pressure. Rising violence against animal wildlife has considerably increased in huge way. I remember one of my member, EPG is a group which we have formed, which means Elephant Production Group. It's a volunteer group who are working in Katania Ghat as well as Wildlife Sanctuary to control or which helps in driving elephants when they are entering into agricultural land. Basically, it will also ensure that there is a conservation of elephant as well as there is a help for marginal farmers who are living residing near to those area. But one of my EPG member has lost his son due to an elephant attack, and it was very hard for me to explain him and to convince him that okay, it was not the fault of elephant, it was neither the fault of the human being, it was just due the man did not see that elephant and he directly he was riding a cycle, so he directly go and collided with that elephant. And like if you are very much close to an elephant, whether it's broad daylight or a dark pitch with view everywhere, so elephant will take charge. So that happened due to injury to both human and wildlife. Self-explanatory thing. Loss of life is a major thing. Compensation cannot fulfill the loss of a human being when it comes to death due to unnatural way or due to a human wildlife conflict. So it's a very hard thing. There are so many steps to mitigate human wildlife conflict. Empowering Gram Panchayat, which was already done, especially like converting a scheduled animal into vermin by the permission of CWLW for a particular span of time, so that you can cull those animals and you can control the population. So it was one of the way which Gram Panchayat was working. Argumenting for this, yes, the thing, it was a very good initiative by the government of India to start Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, but it was not a successful thing because there were so many drawbacks into that particular Bima Yojana, that insurance policy. But I would really love to see that coming into picture once again, because this particular Fasal Bima Yojana is good in where forests are not there. But if the agricultural land is very much close to the forest area, so this particular Bima Yojana is not, means insurance Yojana is not applicable. So government should take some action into this. Insurance, yes, Fasal Bima Yojana is a part of insurance, and also the government official like forest or land revenue team, they should also have some insurance policies to compensate these things. Take proactive measures. Early warning system, creating barriers like solar fence and control room is one of the way which, by the help of which we have controlled the human elephant conflict mitigation in those areas, especially in Katanya Ghat and Valmiki Tiger Reserve. Because this early warning system can be in of two ways. One is human patrolling, and the other one is using artificial intelligence, like creating infrared barriers and other things. Providing instant relief is one of the best way we can cool down the local communities there, because the ex gratia part, if it is given within 24 hours, the problem is resolved. I'm not saying to give the government to give like 4 lakh or 5 lakh instantly, but at least if you give 50,000 within 24 hours, the problem have been justified, or the problem has been solved by 50%. So nearly 90% of the protected area, 88 species and 50 million people are affected by human wildlife conflicts in India. So it's a huge thing and it will increase every year. And it's right time, if we decide how we can start living and start planning a coexistence between human and wildlife, then only we can find a better way. So most I'm ready to answer all the questions you have. So thanks.
Well, it was a good presentation. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. And main thing is humans are sauntering into the animal world. That's the
True.
reason why this kind of their world is shrinking and our world is expanding.
Expanding.
This is one of the things that has to be tackled on a war footing. And India is protecting its tigers, elephants, and rare species, no doubt. But the result is the number has multiplied due to
Right.
protection.
True.
Why can't India explore the possibility of exporting to identified countries where they can be showcased and live peacefully? Yes, we are exporting to some zoos, etc., in the world, but the number can be controlled by this way and also by protecting the animals. What's your view about it?
So let me put you with the data. The total number of tigers which we have in the wild is around 3,373 or 74. I'm not getting that correct data, but we have more tigers, like more than 5,000 tigers in US and China alone in captivity. So they have those tigers, sir. It's not that if we export those tiger wild animals and it will solve the problem. It is not that way, because once a tiger who is in wild have developed certain types of immunity into them, and their lifespan is also very less, because they have to struggle for existence and survival of the fittest rule. The two rules by which this works, like the forest works, is into action. But once you take these animal into captivity, their life expand is extended, and they have certain genetic problems. And yes, the interbreeding can also lead to certain genetic problems in future also. So I am not a very much good supporter of keeping animals into captivity. As such, I have seen the zoo have lost their basic formation guidelines for education, research, putting animals into the wild. So they have far away from their objective. So for me, the best way is that coexistence. People who are living nearby forests should be like trained and aware in such a way that they should accept those animals as the animals have accepted them.
I'm actually working in Assam right now as part of a fellowship, Bodoland Assam. And where I'm staying right now, it's basically in a forest village on the fringe of the Manas National Park. And out here, obviously, like the human-elephant conflict is the biggest issue that is impacting both the humans and the elephants. And a lot of different strategies have been, like a lot of different things have been put in place out here. Like there has been like solar fencing that's been tried, there's been electric fencing that's been tried, but then none of them really have worked for a lot of reasons, either because of the human conflict that is happening, because of which people are cutting each other's fences, or there's not enough investment or people are not taking the responsibility and accountability to maintain these fences post building and after all that. So right now, like my project is working on the human elephant conflict, but then I'm trying, like you were talking about, trying to use like education and awareness to be able to like tackle that. The first understand the dialogues that are going around within the community, and then see how I can make certain things like compensation and different kind of mitigation strategies accessible to them. Because at the end of it, like an NGO can come and different parties can come and put something, but then if the community is not going to take responsibility to help and to understand how coexistence can work, nothing can be done. But right now I'm facing this trouble of like, how exactly do I even approach. I'm looking at compensation and mitigation strategies are the two main things that I'll be looking at to educate and create awareness. But then I'm struggling with how exactly I could go about this in this space. Like if I have to look at mitigation strategies, like again, this place is an agricultural, like most of the people out here are small scale farmers, and there has been a few talks about like lemon tree fencing that could be a possibility. But then again, I don't know what exactly the, like how well it would work, or how well, like things like natural deterrents are very like unpredictable. So I'm basically confused as to how exactly I could approach it. Should I even approach natural deterrents? What should be the way to go about this?
Sagarika, means it's good that you come across with a question which we are also struggling, and because we are dealing with an animal who is not just huge in size but huge in the size of the brain also. They're
Yeah.
quick learners and they will find a way out for all the things which we are going to do.
Yeah.
So the best way, the way we are doing, like you are also struggling with marginal farmers, and we are also working with the marginal farmers. It's very hard to convince them to change the crop pattern which they are practicing. But
Yeah.
again, we have to push them to do something. Like what we have done is that we had asked these marginal farmers to, instead of paddy and sugarcane, which is our belt here, and I am sure that paddy is also grown there in a large.
Yes.
So what we have done is that we had asked them to change their crop pattern from paddy to turmeric and to peppermint oil. So
Okay.
this had raised their capital also, means the economic value of these things are also good. And yes, if even the elephants are coming for a crop raiding, they do nothing other than just stamping onto it, and again this plant will regenerate. So there is no problem with that. So there are certain things. Yes, if you are talking about lemon trees, we are also doing a pilot project in Katanya Ghat. So it's a good deterrent, but it will only, the result will be only shown after 5 years, because once these plants are ready, then they can act as a barrier. And these elephants do not like citrus smell nor the taste of that plant, so it will create a barrier. But again, it should be like the whole village should be covered, or the whole agricultural land should be covered without a single, there should be a single door for the person to go inside and come out, and it should be a single door. Then only you can protect. So it is a hard thing. It's a challenge basically. And yes, every time you have to come with another solution.
But for the community, if I were to be looking at education, like what you were talking about, trying to look at coexistence as a space to get into. So like what would the conversation be around if I were to approach the community for this?
Look, it should be the way we do is that we start with linking it with religious sentiments, and then with the beneficiary, the benefits which we are getting from elephants in terms of seed dispersal, making pathways into the forest and other things, linking it with ecotourism. So this is the way you can address the problem with a solution, and then only you can work. Because in Katane Ghat we have done that. Ecotourism, we say that okay, I can completely agree that ke hathi aate hain, your crops are raided, you have a economical loss. So in the morning, if there are tourists, please unko show them that these are the problems which we are facing, but we love animals. And if you want to come, I can show you elephant in the night. And it's not a forest area, it's a village area. So people can come and they are seeing it and they're charging it also. So you can make a ecotourism sort of thing with a safe distance, and yes, they can earn their livelihood.
Ma'am Uma Shankari, please ask your question.
I am actually a farmer farming near Tirupati, South India, Andhra Pradesh. And, while I love, let's say, the wildlife, and I completely appreciate that we need wildlife, we need forests, we need everything, blah, blah, blah. But as a farmer, I am losing every year to monkeys, to wild pigs, and this year, elephants also came to our village. And that's all, if, 40,000 rupees down the drain. I have a coconut garden of about 100 odd trees. Instead of getting something like 5,000 nuts, I got 100 odd nuts through the whole year because of monkeys. Okay, so this cannot just go on. So we have to think of solutions which is a win-win solutions from all sides. So first I want to suggest that the forest department or organizations like yours should have an assessment, should do surveys and studies of what is the actual carrying capacity of the forest. How much can it really how many monkeys can be there in a forest like near Tirupati? It is from those forests only they're all coming here. Second thing is, what is and how they can put them inside the forest and not come into the agriculture areas. That is another thing we have to work on. Now, if we are serious about working on solutions, it has to be a win-win solutions for farmers and others, and wildlife and human beings in general. So the question I would like is that compensation. Institutions like yours should really work on what is been reasonable. I just lost water pipes. I believe nowadays the elephants, whenever they see water pipes, water lines, immediately they go and break them because they understand that there is water there. So these kinds of things are a heavy loss for any kind of farmer. I am an English speaking farmer, but then it doesn't mean that I'm sitting on some crores or something. I have about, let us say, 5 acres, which there I'm trying to grow some things. And increasingly, because of wildlife, it is becoming impossible. Monkeys, I believe sterilization is supposed to be the answer, and it should be taken up as a big national campaign. All these things, should be taken up. And however much we are trying to raise farmers' issues, we have just had a big farmers andolan and all that. But wildlife problem is first of all with the central government. Second, with the forest department in central government, which is itself a very marginal department in the central government. And so they are bound to say always that there are no funds for wildlife. So they are highly limited. So a vigorous campaign, sir, Abhishek, Shrivani, all Prerana, all these people, your kind of institution should very actively campaign for win-win solutions for both sides. No point in saying, okay, we can, we have to live with wildlife. Of course, we have to live with wildlife, but at what cost and in what kind of terms and conditions is what and how maybe some specialist tribes we used to have. Also, they should be trained in more numbers to take care of their needs also. We have we ourselves made Vanasamrakshan Samiti. It was a joint government World Bank program in which we actually grew a forest nearby, which was a degraded forest. We actually grew it, but then and we made lots of water structures. Similarly, we made water structures in our stream. So all these things also may have attracted the elephants to come to this side, because this is the first year it has come to our village. It used to be in a different part of the district, a little far off. And it is really not a joke, wildlife. So this is what I wanted to say. I fully understand and appreciate that we need wildlife. They have a function in the ecological system. and everything.
Thank you so much. And yes, you are right at many means you are right at every point. Like you have the questions and you have the answers and the solutions also. So there is nothing more to be needed. But yes, I'll be suggesting one thing. Uma ma'am, go with bio fencing across your farmlands and agriculture land. It will take time, but yes, elephants are very learning and they always explore new areas. Since they have explored this year, I'm 100% sure they will be coming next year also. So before they are coming, I would be asking you to use two, three things. The first thing is chili-based measures. The other one is tobacco. Okay, you can act as a barrier. Means you just have to plant 5 feet across your. Means you have to create a boundary of your agriculture land with these things. These create a boundary which elephant do not like to cross, especially the chili and the tobacco. So you have to create this, and the other thing is that you use tobacco, boil it, and once the boiling mixture is ready, you can sprinkle it on your plants. It will again act as a barrier. So people means either neither the monkeys, neither wild boar or other animal will destroy it. And the best thing is that monkey has been taken out of Wildlife Protection Act, so you can also take the preventive measures from your end. It's not that forest will not poke their nose into it.
So I recently heard that monkey, if it's actually easy to kill monkeys. It is just people think that they are Hanumans. Otherwise, just a bit of. It's not that I want to kill monkeys, but then as you are saying, if it is out of the ban, then we can do some such thing like at least put some chili coated peanuts or something like that.
Right.
So I will study all these measures.
Sterilizing? Would sterilizing be an option?
Sterilization is a best option for monkeys, and if you start capturing, if you create cages, trap cages for monkeys, and if you are placing those trap cages nearby your forest area, once a monkey will see that cage, and once they are trapped, so the next monkey will learn very easily. Okay, there are traps, so you should not into that particular area.
No, but sterilization is something we cannot take up. Farmers, it has to be taken
You
up by
have you have to talk to the municipal corporation as well as animal husbandry board, so they will be doing that needful.
Is it not the duty of the forest department?
Since the animal has been taken out of the Wildlife Protection Act, so they will be least interested in doing that, to be very honest.
Okay. So animal husbandry is where we have to do some campaign?
Yes.
Okay, so you also please do the relevant campaigns.
I'm really happy to, and I'm really thankful to Vishwa that they had given me a platform so that I am getting ideas of different states and the problems there. So again, I'm looking forward for creating more projects and working into certain areas, whether it's a big or a small project, but I will be definitely looking forward into it.
What about wild pigs, sir? What do you suggest?
Wild pigs are very hard because they easily trespass the solar fence. So the best way to capture them is kerosene oil. If you put some kerosene oil in a particular place, the wild boar used to come and they used to dig it, and then you can easily restrain them. But again, it's a Schedule 2 species, so you have to very much cautious, and you have to write a letter to CWLW, Chief Wildlife Warden, and for Division Forest Officer.
Actually, wildlife meat was highly relished till a few years ago, till this ban happened. So actually, farmers will be very happy to get it out of the wildlife if you can campaign for that, because they also breed. The breeding is very high. It's not that we are sort of bringing them to extinction.
That is why I am saying you have to write a application and submit it to Chief Wildlife Warden. He had that power to make that animal come into vermin category for a certain time period, and that particular time period you can easily hunt those animals and you can easily control the population of these things. So these particular right and the power has been designed and designated to Chief Wildlife Warden, but you have to go through a proper channel. You have to write a letter to the DFO and same letter copy to the Chief Wildlife Warden, and he will be doing the needful. I'm sure he will be helping you out.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
I just wanted to add something here.
Yeah.
We had a talk by Mr. Paul from Auroville, and he was saying the entire south of India was an evergreen forest. And at the time of colonization to now, most of these forests have been removed. And when the new forest officials came, they would either put a whole acreage of eucalyptus trees or something that they got from Africa. Now, he and the team in Auroville had gone across the Coromandel coast and identified the local indigenous trees. And they would find 2 trees in some temple, because most of these Hindus and the tribals would pray to certain trees, and that's why the trees were protected. They would take the seeds, collect the seeds, make them into 2 trees, then 10, then 200, then 1,000, and they were taking pockets of 50 acres and developing them with the local indigenous trees. Tirupati, Chittoor, Nellore, Anantapur, all these areas were filled with red sanders and forests.
Absolutely.
Forest department plants coconut palm trees in the forest, and definitely there is food scarcity. So planting more fruit bearing trees can help, isn't it?
True. Again, I am not sure कि अब government ने coconut को वहाँ पे क्यों plant किया है, why they have planted coconut trees or palm trees there in the forest area. Again, क्योंकि when it comes to forest rejuvenation things, so we always plant those things which are used by most of the animals and birds there for their food. Especially the food bearing plants हम लोग use करते हैं. But again, if the government has done certain things, so they have been advised by the board to do that. And it could be that there are so many villages nearby areas, so the dependency of firewood को भी वो शायद वो tackle करने के लिए they have done that. But again, I'm not very much happy to hear that only coconut and palm trees have been planted in a forest. It's very awkward for me to hear those things. It should be food bearing, multiple fruit bearings and leaves which are being edible by most of the ungulates or even elephants or other species. So they should plant those if they really want to rejuvenate forest. And yes, creating water holes is another big thing which they should do.